Hello, Leo. This is Michelle, and I'm here to do a February 2020 reading for you. I'll be using the standard Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Oh my goodness, we just had a few things pop out of the deck. I think I'm going to put that back in, but Ten of Cups and the King of Pentacles. Yes, so this is the Rider-Waite deck by US Games. Also, I'm bringing back for you the saint that we pulled in December. This is Saint Barbara from the Voices of Saints deck by Los Scarabeo. We were going to read up a little bit on her, find out about her life, and I'll be talking a little bit about that after your reading. What are the messages that we need to know for our Leo friends, for the highest and best good? Let's take a look. Whoa. All right, that was interesting. The deck actually split apart in my hand before I pulled it up even. Very interesting. Okay, Wheel of Fortune on the bottom of the deck. I believe some Leos have just come to a very, I want to say almost a monumental completion of some sort, the ending of something. And this is something that you have potentially put a lot of work into. We can see the fixed signs all around here. Actually, here you are, Leo, and it is showing all the work that you have put into this project. And so congratulations, because it looks like a completion is happening at this moment. Some sort of conclusion followed by the Ace of Cups. Yes, more confirmation that there is a new beginning. Whenever there is an ending of sorts, this, especially the monumental sort of ending that I was picking up from the Wheel of Fortune, we have a new beginning coming in. It could very well be related to something spiritual or an emotional new start of some sort. This is absolutely beautiful to see. Let's continue on with Temperance. Oh my goodness. And so this is telling me that Leo, a lot of work has gone into this project, just as I was seeing with the Wheel of Fortune. It hasn't been easy. And because you have stuck it out, you stuck to your guns, Leo, fixed sign, you didn't quit. Because of this, you are made stronger. I don't really see this as, even though it's in the crossing position, and so you might be thinking, well, is that an obstacle? I'm not picking that up so much. What I'm picking up is that, you've come to a big conclusion or completion. You're starting something new, and this is just really saying to me that you have come through it stronger. It wasn't easy. It wasn't something that just anybody could do or anybody could stick out. And now we have the Queen of Swords coming in. All right, a little bit of a suggestion that perhaps there is a lot of emotion attached to this entire situation. You might actually wish that you could bring a little bit more logic into it. But let's continue with these cards. And now the Devil coming in the foundation. And so there's a suggestion that this has something really to do with something material, perhaps something quite practical, something on the earth plane. I want to say, looking at this entire vertical spread here and thinking about the Wheel of Fortune, I am also seeing this. You have, again, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's what's coming through. This has not been easy. You might actually even feel like you're a little bit stuck still right now, like the new start is going to be difficult for you. But I don't think so. I think that's perhaps just something that might be going through your mind, or a feeling because of all the work that has gone into it. I think there's going to be some lighter energy coming in, but let's take a look. Let's continue. We have the Seven of Rods, all right, suggesting that you have overcome some other competition perhaps, and that for some of you this could relate to almost like, I want to say, a social rising, almost like going up the ladder socially or being promoted for some of you in some way. And now we have the Three of Swords coming in. All right, let's continue on. The Three of Swords suggesting, though, I will say that I'm going to go back to this, really. I have to. The astrology, this is just the reality of what's reflected in the astrology, and that is that Saturn-Pluto conjunction. For many of us, it was exact in January, and in January, there was some suffering involved, some loss, some grief in the month of January for many of us. Based on the entire reading so far, what I am going to say is that for some of the Leos, I almost feel like this could be a reflection card, like you may be looking back to the month of January. There may be some sorrow involved in that reflection. Okay, I'm going to put it that way. Let me say this also, to my mind, this seems to relate also to Mercury going retrograde in Pisces. Now, that's for everybody. Mercury will be in Pisces. That's not a comfortable position. It's a lot of emotion, and going retrograde suggests reflection. So I'm really pairing that with the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and I feel for some of us we are going to be thinking about some loss that had happened previously. I'm not quite picking that up for the future, even though it's in the future position. I'm looking at it as something that has happened and kind of a reflection on how deeply that has impacted you. Okay, we have the Page of Swords coming in again. All right, and so the picture is becoming a little clear. I think, Leo, that there are there is an emotional undertone going on here. This is not just this is not a little thing. We're looking at the Ace of Cups here. We're looking at the Wheel of Fortune. This is something really quite big. It's significant in your life. And at times what I'm seeing is that the emotions might creep in to this process that you're undergoing. You might be fighting it a little bit. You might be thinking, no, I just don't want to think about that right now. I need to be logical. There are some big opportunities. I've worked very hard. I need to keep moving forward. I can't afford actually to allow myself to have this feeling of grief or suffering. Well, let's continue on. I want to say I'm a little tempted to say, though, with that Mercury retrograde, that it's going to be okay. It's actually going to be okay if you find that there are times in the month of February where you just need to get really out of the hustle and bustle and the fray of everyday life. Perhaps you need to just be very quiet, be with yourself, be with your emotions, and let it come out. Allowing this to come out is, I think, going to be very healthy. Again, though, I am seeing this picture of you sort of fighting it. I can see that, but I can also see you sort of, I want to say, vacillating back into a scenario that's more emotional. And here's the King of Wands. Well, we could say here you are, Leo, and it's because you are so passionate. You are so passionate, Leo. Of course, yes, perhaps it does make sense to move forward and just have, everything planned out, knock everything off the list, be very logical about this, but you're one of the most passionate signs in the zodiac. The emotions are going to be there. And now we have the Ten of Rods. Absolutely. I'm actually happy to see this. Let me say, I know the Ten of Rods and the Rider-Waite tends to suggest a lot of work and a heavy burden, but let's not forget that we are looking at the Ace of Cups, we were looking at the Wheel of Fortune, and we were looking at conclusion. And so again, I think that this has not been easy, but that you have manifested a conclusion. You might be hoping in the month of February that you can just lift your head up and start moving forward on a lighter spiritual note. Now we have the Two of Swords coming in, and so I am going to say this, Leo. This is a message that has come through actually for not just Leo, but this is something coming through for also, it was, I believe, Aries, the other fire sign, okay? And so we have a repetition coming in here for the fire signs, and it is this. Take your time with these emotions. Absolutely, you should be congratulated for reaching these really big milestones in life and going through these monumental experiences. I think it makes sense that you want to move forward in a very logical way. You don't want the emotions to really get in the way of everything, but go ahead and just allow yourself at least some time to just experiencing the feeling of what is going on, so that you can just let it out of your system. I feel there's a little bit of resistance to that for some of you. You could be resisting it, but the overall feeling that I am getting from this spread is that it is actually going to be healthy to allow yourself to feel. This is going to help you to move forward. All right, I want to talk just a little bit about Saint Barbara now, from the Voices of Saints. We didn't know that much about her in December, at least I didn't. But I did read up a bit on her, and what I learned was that, well, like many of the great ancient martyr saints, Saint Barbara was a great physical beauty. She was physically beautiful. This is typical of a number of the martyr narratives. And because of her physical beauty, her father locked her up in a tower where she was confined as a child. We didn't know exactly what that was, but I think this is representative of that tower. This is where she was raised, where she was taught by pagan teachers. Her father was pagan, of course. But as she would look out the windows into the beautiful countryside all around her, she was a Greek saint. As she looked out at the beautiful countryside, she came to this understanding that there is one God. There is one God, and there is one Christ. And this was like a revelation for her. And as a young child, she devoted herself entirely to Jesus. Well, her father was not very happy about this, of course, because he wanted her to marry, and so he set her free. Thinking she would become more worldly and change her mind, but she did not. She ended up meeting more Christians. Her faith actually deepened. And when her father found out that she formally became a Christian, this is rather sad and tragic, also typical of the martyr stories, but when her father found out, he had her beheaded. Very, very sad story. She was also tortured, let me say, and that's very typical for these stories. The reason that we are seeing this man here underneath here, we were wondering about that, what happened. I said a little bit about it in the booklet, but after she was beheaded, her father was struck by lightning. And some of the stories also include an authority figure for the town that was also involved in that beheading. Oh my goodness, a fascinating story, very tragic. Saint Barbara coming through very strongly for many of the signs here at this channel. And so I just want to say that I feel that she is really an example of unswerving faith, unmovable faith, as all of these saints that we've been reading about, if you've been reading about them too, have modeled for us. And so I think, Leo, actually it is a message that no matter how tough things have been, or seem to be, or if you are reflecting and thinking back on the difficulties, to just remember that in the end, everything is going to be all right. A light will come out at the end of the tunnel. Take your time with any feelings that come up. I know that you will move through this, and I see overall absolutely beautiful, positive, spiritual energy, a new beginning coming in for Leos in February. Thank you so much, Leo, for coming back for a reading. If this is your first time at the channel, I want to welcome you, say thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.